unless we pulled one from our database.
Now, those of you who are on the live viewing chat, to the second part, which gets released as a second episode, the hand history reviews. Boom! Yeah, I'm going to put that at the beginning now.
We would love to get into the hand history portion of our podcast. We have one hand that Pokerface Ash shared with us that we would like to go over. Ryan is pulling that up now. I have not seen the results of this hand, but I actually don't think you told us what happened on the river. So,
I know.
Oh, well, good. Well, I didn't read it. I just copied and pasted and sent to Ryan. I like to be in the dark. But do you want to give us some background on where this is, table dynamic, all that good stuff?
Yeah, so I was playing the 1-2, so it's a 2-100 spread before getting moved to this table. And this was at Wild Horse Pass. It was like a couple days before that casino closed. My last vlog is actually a tribute to that casino because it was where I started my grind, like literally started my poker journey at this casino. So I was really sad that they closed. But anyway, I just moved to the 2-200 spread. So it plays a little bit bigger because it's a max buy-in of $600. And I think that day I wasn't even planning on playing. I was literally there just to get shots. So all I had was $400 on me. So that's what I had to start this hand. But anyway, as I was sitting down, there was this lady who was like literally bluffed off her entire stack when I had sat down. And she said, "Oh, I only looked at one card." And she was just like bombing away. So I knew this lady was like crazy getting in there. Even the hands I saw her play, the under the gun straddler, she was like just gambling it up and just getting in every hand and, doing crazy stuff. So that's what led up to this hand. So yeah, she straddled to $5, and I believe there was 3 other callers before it got to me.
I think I gave it.
We're bumping it up. We're bumping it up.
Yeah.
Right. I think I may have given you an extra caller, but
yeah,
nor there. The sizing.
Okay. Yeah, so I sized up here. I went to 40. I could have maybe even gone a little bit bigger, but yeah, I think there's only like 3 callers. Maybe there's next. But anyway, she ended up snap calling, which I fully anticipated, and then luckily everyone else folded.
It's kind of surprising, even if there were 3 other limpers. I mean, I guess with the sizing, but when the under the gun straddler snap calls, you kind of expect one of these people to show up with a hand.
I was actually surprised everybody folded. I obviously raised because I want to isolate and definitely play a pot against her. I think my hand is the nuts against her a lot of the time. So, and when she just snap calls, I think, she doesn't have any really strong hands in her range here. So.
Yeah, you got to balance your bet time or your bet and your call timings, because when you snap call, you can inadvertently cap yourself if someone.
I don't think they're thinking about that. I think they're there to gamble, right?
I agree.
It's so soft that they're just not probably thinking that way. So out of position against a player of this style, I can totally check here, but I think I can also bet and get value from like so much crap. Like, especially with her, she could be floating with even just a naked 9 here. Maybe some overs, like if she had like maybe king 10 offsuit, like there's so many hands I think she's going to continue. So I decided to bet into her on this street, and I think I bet 45.
I love the sizing. I love the thought analysis. I would play it the exact same.
Okay, sweet. So she calls, and then the turn is another jack, which was like super interesting. So my thought process here was, if I check, she probably thinks I was like c-betting, maybe, giving up. Maybe I have some type of showdown hand. But either way, with this type of player on my left, I think I can now check to induce her to bluff. So that's what I did. I checked, and she snap bet, I think it was 50. Yeah, okay, 50.
50.
So any thoughts so far on this hand?
I like the check on the turn. I think that if she had a jack on the flop, a lot of the time a player like this would be raising.
Right.
Obviously not all of the time, but I expect to have the best hand. Honestly, like 90% of the time, something like that. So I think just calling makes the most sense. Keep her range a little wide and try and induce a bluff on the river. I mean, obviously we don't want to see a Broadway card, but expect to just call virtually any river bet, honestly. So yeah, I go into check call mode here. I think 50 into 200 is really small too.
Yeah.
If she did have a jack, why go so small?
Right.
So yeah, I'm absolutely never folding here. The 10 of hearts is mildly worth noting, but at the same time, worth against an opponent like this, I don't even think like blockers to the flush are necessarily even that important.
Sure.
So yeah, I would just look to flick in the call here, which is I'm
Yeah.
assuming what you did.
I also block 9-10, so obviously I block a lot of value as well, which was pretty huge. But it also blocks her from like having some continues. But either way, I think when I check, every time I'd seen her, someone checked her, she would bet. So that was
yeah.
No. I love that. I love it when you check to someone. I'm like,
I just think we're good here right now all the time.
I think it's so tough.
100%.
It's the most sus thing. I'm so confused.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So
beautiful.
The river was awesome, but then at the same time, I was thinking, I'm not sure if she continues bluffing on this card. So I was really stuck between value betting or checking to induce, because I think even a player like her, even as crazy as she is, she's got to know that obviously I have something at this point, and I don't know like if she would even continue bluffing here. But then I was like, well, she could have some kind of 8x hand, even maybe like 9-8, 8-6, even a 7 maybe. So if I checked her, I was hoping that she would either bluff or value bet her full house if she had some type of full house.
Yeah, I'm checking all day long here because I think the question is just what do we get called by? And yeah, I think she's got 8 X's. I think she also has 7 X's in range, but I don't think that that maybe we miss value if she decides to check that back. I don't know exactly if she would check back that boat.
I don't think she would.
But yeah, exactly. So with that knowledge, I think that we can absolutely go into check call or maybe even check jam mode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I might just send it and put in the check jam because I think she'd be willing to put her money in with with an 8 here all day long. And I mean, if she has quads, she has quads.
Exactly. Yeah. So I did check to her, and she bet 75, and so I raised to 200 because that's the maximum raise size. I could have made it 275, but I thought she's just folding all of her crap at that point. So I kind of went a little bit smaller just to see if she would hero me with like an 8 or something. So I made it 200.
I don't even think necessarily an 8 is a hero call on this board. Obviously we possess a lot of overpairs. I am absolutely raising here all the time. I agree with Poker Fox Bob. This is a great raise.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't know what exactly junk she's calling you with. I wouldn't call necessarily an 8 a junk. You're gonna fold out all the aces and stuff. And I think a recreational player, when they see they have a boat, I think they think it's just a massive cooler when you show up with 10s, which obviously we know it's really not. But
at this point, I was praying she had an 8, and because I know she'd snap call me with an 8 for sure.
I like the check raise. I really like your line throughout this entire hand. And what does Villain decide to do?
She folds. She thinks for a bit and then folds. But yeah, so I'm sure she didn't have much of anything then, because I think I get snapped by maybe even a 7, like snapped by a 7 full house, just the way she was playing and her player type. But it was a fun hand. It was really a really interesting run out. I just was a little bit like I didn't want to miss value on the river, but I thought if she has like an 8, she's definitely gonna bet it. And maybe if she's bluffing, she's gonna bet and try to, I don't know what she thinks I have. But anyway, it was a fun hand. It was interesting. And it was ironically my last hand I ever played at that casino. So
Joe, you got to own somebody in your last hand.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm so curious as to what exactly she had. But this looked like a fun table for sure.
Yeah, it was really fun. I wish I could have stayed, but I actually had to leave. So
I mean,
at least
you got max value from the scenario. If you checked and she bet and you check raised and she did not call, that I mean, I think that's just as best value you could have gotten from her exact hand.
I agree. Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, absolutely. We have 2 more hands for you guys. I believe both of these hands are actually Ryan's, unless we pulled one from our database.
Now, those of you who are on the live viewing chat, to the second part, which gets released as a second episode, the hand history reviews. Boom! Yeah, I'm gonna put that at the beginning now.
I don't even know how I feel about this.
No, I just took that clip and I'm putting it at the beginning. So.
I love the energy. I don't think I've ever seen this like fake, like it is passion, but I just love that. That was just great. That just looked really dorky and I love it. And our viewers love it.
I am a dork, but I have great passion.
Okay.
What is happening in the stream?
Oh, we got Poker Flops Bob. Oh, so you tag him, but you don't tag me.
Bob is here too. This is great.
Let's go.
Oh, Bob, you're about to get roasted, buddy. Okay.
I know exactly what hand this is.
So we're here. We're here at the 1-2 streets. This is our weekly, I guess, meetup game, because we call it that. If you guys want to hop in on, thanks, Bob. If you guys want to hop into our game, you could DM Bad Beat Bryce on Instagram. It'll get you hooked up with everything you need to get in the game with us. But without further ado, we are playing here, $289 deep. Not terribly far into the evening. Table is great. Plenty of action has gone on throughout the session so far, and it's literally, this was like 30 minutes in. Bob is the second goat. Yes. I don't know who's the first, though. But we get a raise from our dear friend, the Poker Flops Bob, in the cutoff, raises it up to 7. And we're here in the big blind with Jack 10 suited. I think there is plenty of an argument for raising here, that you can 3-bet some percentage of the time. But I don't think this is a 100% 3-bet hand by any.
I agree, especially when we look at Poker Flops Bob's HUD and see he's a little bit of a nit.
Really? Wider.
No, he's not a complete nit. I believe his VPIP percentage is around 20% and his 3-bet percentage is around 7%, if I remember correctly off the top of my head. That's not completely nitty. I'm just giving him shit. But yeah, I think there's merit for both. Being in position, I would look to 3-bet this, obviously, a little bit higher.
Funny? If you were the opener here, I would 3-bet you all day.
Oh, I know you would. All day.
And here's the deal. If I had Jack 10 suited in the cutoff and you 3-bet me from the big blind, that's a good 4-bet candidate too.
All right. I guess I got to tighten my range. All right. Let's get to the hand.
Radio. LOL. All right. So I end up flatting on this occasion. Totally fine. And we go to the flop. Flop pretty well. We are open-ended here with also a backdoor flush draw. Don't think there's anything else to do here other than check with your entire range. I don't care if you had kings and you just called, you do not lead on this flop.
I mean, we flop fine, but we expect this to hit his range pretty hard and we expect to be behind. Absolutely. So, I mean, it's an okay flop in the sense we're open-ended backdoor flush draw, but I wouldn't say this is the best flop in the world by any means. Check call mode, I think, is totally fine.
Yes. And Bob gives us a really decent price to see a turn here.
I'd say we're going to continue here. Right?
Yeah, I'd say we're going to continue here. I mean, I would go a little bigger, I guess, than Bob's shoes.
I would go slightly larger as well, but not horrible. I mean, it's a rainbow board. There's 2 Broadway cards. I would probably size. Yeah, I'd probably size 7 or 8, but it's fine.
And I opt to stick in the raise.
Yeah, I think this is okay to
call mode. I go into check raise mode. Here's my thought process behind it. I think that if he has a hand like King Jack, like King 10, like something with a weaker top pair, if the turn comes, the ace.
Did you just call King top pair?
What? King Jack is top
pair.
I
don't think King Jack is that weak of a top pair.
Okay, so regardless, I'm talking about top pair holdings that won't be happy when a 9 or an ace rolls off on the turn. Now, I get it. That's not going to happen that often. But I thought that this check raise gets a lot more value when I start to hit my cards on the turn. If a heart comes on the turn, I mean, I'm going to be able to continue on the turn in most scenarios here, I think.
I think it's absolutely fine. I'm interested in his strategy in terms of c-betting. I haven't seen him play enough flops, to be frankly honest with you, to know. I've seen him bet really small when he literally had the nuts against me, and he bet so micro. So I don't know if this bet sizing is almost concerning how small it is. I remember the results of his hand, but say he has pocket kings or pocket queens here. This is probably what he would size, given that he's sizing in this situation. I think it's absolutely fine to mix in a check raise here at some frequency, maybe 30% of the time, somewhere around there. But I wouldn't be looking to do this all the time, especially. But again, he's in the cutoff. His range can be fairly wide. But again, he does possess more kings and queens than we do. So it's an interesting check raise. What exactly are you repping? Do you think king? I think that's an interesting question on this rainbow board. Pocket eights, are you repping queen eight suited, king? You know what I'm saying? Because if you have king queen, there's a good chance that you would be bumping this up out of the big blind. So I think thinking in terms of what very strong value hands you have is important, because he definitely has the nut advantage on this board.
He's way more king queen.
Yeah,
and kings and queens. Like, he's uncapped. I'm kind of capped when I.
Yeah, I agree. Largely, 1/3 pot is for value. I agree with that. All right. So what does Bob decide to do?
Bob puts in the call, and we go to a turn, which rolls off the 8 of diamonds. I guess overall, given our description of the flop check raise and our nut range being like basically pocket eights and queen eight, this is an awful card in actuality. This, if it were a heart, it would be better. But I mean, it pairs the board. It reduces the combinations of eights and queen eight that we could have that would do the check raise on the flop. So I'm starting to run out of things that I can have that check raise the flop and start barreling the turn. So I do line up the barrel, and I think I bet just under half pot.
So can you explain to me, Ryan? You literally just listed all of the reasons why you should not be betting because it's a bad card for you.
Yeah.
And then bet. Can you explain that to me? We
no.
do possess more eights, obviously, but I'm just interested. You just gave all the reasons for why you should be slowing down, and then bet.
And then I didn't, right? Because I think when I check raised the flop, I just had the intention of barreling any turn card, and that's just not smart. Like this, I think a board pairing card like an 8 is a card, and especially when it's not a heart, is something that you should slow down with Jack 10.
Yeah, he absolutely has the nut advantage here.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Not a question. I mean, what do we have? Quad eights?
Yeah, this barrel is highly suspect. Right, like what am I trying to represent here when I bet this turn? Yeah, quad eights, a boat? Is a boat betting just under half pot? This
I hate this bet, Ryan. I hate this bet.
Yeah. This bet was a punt and a half.
All right, what does Bob do?
We're getting called all day here. And so that's the problem, is that you make so many good points. Like, think about it. The only way that I'm getting out of this situation is if I drill a 9 or an ace on this river.
You made the good points. I just said, why are you betting when you make the points? You love this turn bet? Are you serious? Why? That's so interesting.
I get I set my own price, but like, and when I
what is your intention on the river is what's important with this turn bet. And right. Chino, when you say you love it, is it because we're setting up a massive river bet, which I'm assuming, yes, we have Jack high, but what exactly is your intention and what cards come out? Obviously, if we hit our ace or 9, we're going to be betting, but do we look to bluff massively? If so, like, yeah, just wait for it. All right, let's see a river.
Okay. So the river rolls off the magical 9. We in typical Ryan the Rock fashion, screw ourselves into the best possible outcome. And so we have hit Jin. That's such a great question, Bryce, because I totally agree with you. If this river card doesn't complete the straight, what am I doing with Jack 10? And do I have the Yavos to turn it into a bluff there?
Absolutely. I want to talk to Chino about this hand and general poker strategy a ton after this. I agree that the vast majority of the time you want to keep your story as well as your check range flop play consistent. But on an 8 card that does not really, your story just doesn't really make sense. I still combos. Exactly
right.
If I mean, obviously you have to. I'm curious as to what sizing you would use. But anyways, back to the hand. It's a great card. We're betting. How much are we betting and why?
I think we're going for 2/3 pot. And the reason being, I don't think he's folding out his King X here. I really don't. Like, especially, like, yeah, I mean, like, all the King X that I was describing earlier, from King Queen down to King 10, I don't think is folding here.
Yeah.
And I really don't expect to get raised all that often on this river. You know?
Why?
Like,
if he has a hand like pocket kings, pocket queens, do you not think he would play this the exact same way?
That's a great
The turn, there's no flush draw. Why would he not play those hands?
He would do but call there. Yeah.
Obviously, we can't always assume in the cutoff he just has kings or queens.
Yes.
I mean, obviously we can't do that. But like on this board, that is exactly how he would play it.
Right. And so I think when I do go for this I go for the 2/3 pot bet for value, hoping to get called by a king, king, queen, things of that nature. Maybe for some ungodly reason, trips. And we get jammed on.
So you think about this spot, and I mean, what are we losing to? That is the question. If he has pocket nines, he's never showing up here. So he either has pocket queens or pocket kings. We don't expect him to have quad eights all too often. I mean, sure, he can have that.
Right. There's one
but
we can throw that in there.
Yeah. So yeah, those are really the only hands we're afraid of at all. You took, I think, a time maker too. I'm taking like 3 seconds and snapping.
Right. That was just because I wanted to think through. I wanted to think through the combination.
No,
right? So
I don't think he has pocket nines showing up here.
No, I don't think he has nines here either. He's not calling that check raise on the flop.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Because of the check raise on the flop, I think his range is more condensed here. And that was why I was particularly concerned about it. Because I was saying, what hands does he call a check raise with on the flop and then jam this river with that aren't nutted, But you think about it, you're like, there's so few combos that he shows up here.
We haven't seen him get out of line also is important. We have seen 0 bluff jams from Bob in the 3 sessions that he's played. 0.
Right. So, yeah. Oh, God.
But we're just way too top of range to fold. If you fold this, you're not getting staked by me ever again. I'm just kidding.
So let's look at what it is. So what is he going to jam in there? He's jamming 180 more on top of basically.
Oh shoot! I meant to put this one. If y'all both have Jack 10, I'm gonna cry.
Wow. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Is that I don't think with. Yeah, you can't fold this exact hand when.
I mean, that's what he was trying to do. Absolutely, Chino, and which makes it smart. But we just happened to show up with it here. Right. I don't hate the bluff. I don't hate it because he does have the nut advantage. But we decide to flick in the call. And what does Bob have, Ryan?
The good old Queen 10 offsuit.
Classic. I mean, he blocks the straight. He turned his queen into a little bluff there. I mean, he shouldn't be good all too often. We're not going to be betting Queen X in this situation. 3 streets, obviously.
I love the bluff jam more if for some reason I bet this river like half pot or less, because I think he gets a lot more fold equity there when I have to call up 200 to win like 580 something like that.
I really hope this guy's trolling when he's saying blockers aren't real. I really hope he's trolling. But yeah, no, you just got to flick in the call here. I'm not even going to put into you have to call this to whatever. We don't need to talk about pot odds, dude. You're calling this right. Point blank period. Bob got a little out of line here, but I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all.
Next time,
especially with his image. I don't mind it.
I'm gonna ruin my own words, aren't I? He's gonna show up with it next time. I'm gonna come back on the podcast and cry.
Probably.
Everyone tune in.
Interesting.
Next week.
I'm very interested in who this Chino guy is, and we'll talk after. But we got one more hand for you guys.
Yeah. So here we are. We are in $11 10K guaranteed on ACR. It's me again. Wow. This is great. I get to get critiqued in 2 spots, and I love that. And we see our under the gun player, Big Bird, very active player, 120 big blinds. I had stacked somebody. He had stacked somebody. That's pretty much why we're shorthanded right now. So we have pretty big stacks comparatively. The other people didn't really have massive stacks at this point. So he goes with a min open to 700, and it folds to me on the button. I'm going to stick in a 3-bet here up to 6.6 bigs, so a little bit bigger than 3x, just given how stupid deep we are. Playing more than 100 big blinds deep in a tournament can make it feel a lot more like a cash game, which makes me happy. But I don't think we're doing anything else with queen here other than sticking in a 3-bet.
I think everything's fine. Sizing's fine. Yep. In position, no need to go too big.
And standard, and the under the gun player, as expected, sticks in the call. We head to a flop, which comes Jack 4-3 rainbow, and villain decides to lead out here for 24.50. I love this. I absolutely love it. I mean, I don't understand why, but I totally think that when he's making a donk bet like this on a rainbow board, that he is just so jack heavy, and that he can show up with sets of 4s and 3s here, but I don't know.
I don't expect him to be betting all too often. You do that some percentage of the time just to mix it up, but most of the time you elect for a check raise or getting value on a future street.
Yeah,
this is a rainbow board. Him leading here, I agree, is pretty jack heavy. It doesn't even have to be jack heavy. This could just be bluff heavy in the sense that he thinks he has more jacks than you do, and unless you have an overpair or a hand like ace king ace queen, you might just let it go. So yeah, I think this is an interesting lead from him. We're absolutely not going anywhere ever on this flop. Are we looking to put in the check raise or keep ranges wide and just put in the flat?
So we're in position. So he donk led into us. So
we're in position.
Right. So we're in position. I always say that. I always gotta stop saying that. Yeah, that was bad. So we're in position. And I think here I do go with a raise, and I don't know if I like it as much in hindsight.
I actually like a call more.
Right. I think just because it's rainbow. If there was a second heart on board, I could get behind it more. And if I didn't have the Queen of Hearts in my hand.
I mean, what bad cards are there? An ace or a king? Most turn cards are going to be favorable, and he's going to continue to barrel. It's probably more confusing if then a 7 of diamonds rolls off and then we raise turn. So I actually like a call here more. I mean, I don't hate the raise. It's okay.
But we can delay it to the turn just because
we can absolutely
so many blanks. Like there's
exactly
cards aren't. I like that. That's really
and if he had a hand like ace jack, he might even decide to put in the little 4-ball.
Yeah. I mean, I basically click it back to him. Literally, I click it back to him.
Yeah, I don't really like this. I think this just looks pretty effing strong.
Yeah.
And
I
he might.
don't know why I min clicked it. I feel like that must have been a misclick. That I was trying to size it a little differently. I'm team flat here too. Yeah, I agree. That's what I'm
because
thinking.
It's the right play.
Turn is the better place to raise if we're going to. But the opponent does stick in the call, which I think now pretty much confirms our suspicion that they're very jack heavy. I don't think they're calling a raise here with anything other than a jack or set.
Well, Chino's on your side. Team min click, baby. All right. So, what do you think of this card?
Glorious. Very.
Well, he probably has quad 3s now. We're probably dead, huh?
Yeah, we're just dead. Yeah, we should just fold our queens here, 100%.
All right. What is Villain? I'm assuming Villain decides to check it over as we took the aggressive route.
Yeah, he does. Yep. So check. And here I think we want to size an amount that's going to allow us to get in stacks on the river. So this was one of the parts where I was really kicking myself over the raise sizing on the flop, because now I have to make kind of an awkward sized bet.
Because what are you going to do? Go 15K when only a flush draw pops up and we also possess the Queen of Spades, blocking some Queen Jack. Oh, fuck. My bad. I totally thought there was a spade. That's actually good. We have the Queen of Clubs.
Right.
But yeah, so what are we electing to size here?
I think we do size pretty
14K?
big. I think that was the problem, was that I had to go bigger here. Oh, no, I didn't go that big.
What? Says he's setting up a river. I mean, 6K, that's fine.
Yeah, because when he calls here, there's going to be...
Yeah. I think 14K is way too big, so I was worried you were going to bet that big. 6K, I actually don't hate the sizing.
Yeah, nor do I.
I think maybe a little bigger, just because we don't possess the Queen of Spades, and in case he has a hand like Queen Jack Spades or something, and he's just absolutely going to go with. Try to put a little more money in the pot. I think 6K is okay though, and almost makes him continue with some Jack X's that should not be continuing. But yeah, let's see what he decides to do.
But I think the real reason why you go a little bit bigger here so that you have less fold equity for the river, because
I agree absolutely. You reduce the SPR, and I completely agree with that.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, moral of the story was make the raise bigger on the flop, or just do it on the turn. Both of these.
No, don't raise on the flop.
Right.
But if you're going to go a little bigger on the turn, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so he does stick in the call. River rolls off the 7 of spades.
That's a fair point.
And he checks it on over to me.
If he hits his flush here, he should be betting here just all of the time. I think we can just freaking put in his face.
And that was really my thought process too. I was like, he could have, Jack X of spades. God bless him. But I think that's really what I'm waiting him to when he calls the flop. Like if he has those combinations, it has to be a suited Jack.
Oh, absolutely.
And that he would be screwed if he's calling that check raise with anything worse.
Put in his face. Hope he calls with King Jack.
And that's exactly what we do. And Bryce, wouldn't you know, that's exactly what he has.
I'm just the smartest poker player ever.
You're no famous out here calling it. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a really good emblematic spot. I don't think for the reasons that Bryce just stated, when he doesn't lead this river and he checks it over to us, we just don't think that he shows up with the flush here that often.
There's so many people I know who, when they see the flush on there, are like, "Oh my god, I can't value bet." I'm like, "Bro, what are you talking about? It's a backdoor flush draw." In which case, the only hands that make sense are like the Queen Jack, the 10 Jack, the King Jack of Spades, which aren't that many combos. That's 3 combos, buddy guy. So yeah, I like it.
Help us to a nice cash in this one too. I think I ran pretty deep in this one.
All right, little subtle flex. Probably got the solid $80, and
Yeah,
built up the roll.
Not even, but that's okay. These cards are massive, and one day I will bank one of them. So, that's
I think it's fine to. Yeah, I mean that's a fair point, but I actually think that can look stronger sometimes. If you bet so small, I think it just looks so strong. Yeah, people don't like to fold top pair, especially in ACR micros and live tourneys. Virtually everything. But yeah, I think that he should be able to get away from this as we go 3 streets as the pre-flop aggressor.
Yeah, I tend to agree. But fishy people on ACR, you can go 3 streets here, and they're going to show up with King Jack suited a pretty decent percentage of the time.
Thank you for the donation, Big Bird. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the chat. We had pretty good, solid audience as well as good interaction. But anyways, thank you so much to Pokerface Ash for coming on. You were an absolute blast to have on. Cannot wait to meet you in the future and look forward to the content you produce. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe button.
Helps.
It helps us a ton. We need to reach more people and hopefully improve people's games. And we just love what we do. And please spread it. Thank you so much again to everyone in the chat. This is it for this week. If anyone wants to meet up in Florida, I will be going from the 22nd to the 1st. Cannot wait to meet up with PokerFlops guys like Bob. And we will see you guys next week.
Thank you guys. We'll see you.